Welcome, Kathryn. So happy to reconnect with you. We had such an amazing experience doing our private retreat in California. So I'll be happy to hear more about your insights, your transformations, your journey, and just this internal energetic experience and how it started to reshape your life and the containers of your life, your relationships, and what changed, what shifted for you that is important on your journey. So that's what our conversation is about.
All right.
So the first question I would like to ask you is if you tap into the past, right, when we first met, what do you remember about yourself and where you used to be? What was your experience? What inspired you to reach out?
Oh man, I'm that poor girl. When I reached out to you, I had known you through doing some meetup women's circles, and like I had initially come across your website when I was struggling in toxic relationships, and but at the time, like I just couldn't get myself to financially justify working with you. It's like, oh, that's a lot of money to spend. And I couldn't do it. And but I joined your groups and followed you on social and just loved everything you talked about. Um, and whenever we would do like the meditations at the women's groups and I did a breath work with you, it's like I don't feel anything. Like I don't know, like maybe this doesn't work for me. What am I doing wrong? And I put like so much thought behind it. I would it's like, well, I'll think about what I felt. Um, and so then I came back to you when I was struggling in a relationship. I had broken up with someone that I thought we were going to get married someday and we didn't. And so I was just so frustrated because I believed 100% that that was the relationship for me and it was right and I was happy, and then it fell apart, and it's like I'm never going to trust myself ever again. If this wasn't right, I don't know what is. What am I going to do? And I got in touch with you and we did a consultation, and I just remember I think I was blubbering the whole time. This relationship fell apart and I don't know what to do with myself. And we connected, and I already kind of had a connection with you, so it felt really good, and you took me on. And um geez, when I think back to like the first sessions we had together, I was so lost. You would give me exercises to do, daydreaming about something, explaining what would be your perfect day, and um, meditation practices that I struggled with. I didn't know what I was supposed to be feeling. And you're like, don't. There's no supposed to. There's no shoulds. Let go of that. And I just, well, what am I? I just, what do I do then? And I don't know. You just every week you kept like, do this, just try this, try this. You'd give me something, a phrase that would click with me, and I would use it throughout that week. And then I would make a little step forward, and something else would click. And then a month later, just month after month, things started clicking. And a year and a half later, it's finally come together. And it's like we had an experience just recently where I had such a powerful feeling during a practice. I'm like, that's what it is. I feel
Mhm.
it.
Yeah, the retreat, right? That was like
Yeah,
such a great way
yeah,
to
yeah,
summarize all our work together and like be in the same space and like feel being basically in the same energetic field in this expanded states and like seeing the same things. That was very powerful. And I will ask you to share more about that. But before we go there, what do you feel has shifted and how did you change your belief system? How did that change that you allowed this transformation to happen?
um all the questions that your modules asked me. It was so many layers, and it was painful and hard. And um when it was so hard, it felt so good to unpeel that layer and figure out something that I couldn't figure out before. And it was like, I mean, we covered everything from family you know, what's your family history, your beliefs that come from your family, your society, your culture, just from yourself, just where do all these beliefs come from? And it's like you start kind of stepping back and looking at them. And some of them it's like I've developed on my own, some of them I've been influenced. It's like, but I have the power to change those things. And I think luckily for me, I'm very open to change, and I'm very open to being told, like, not that I'm wrong, but it's like there's another way, and I'm really open to that. I'm not super closed-minded. So I think that that benefited me in this experience, that like I might have had some beliefs, but you showed me something and I was willing to look at it and kind of take it the way that I needed it. I think one of the biggest things in my beliefs that I got from you is the connection to the collective and women through all the generations, ancestral, just women in general. And I had another experience during our intensive where I connected with women back in the Amazon times, giving birth in the jungle. I connected with them. And that was another, I'm getting chills, another experience. Just, you know, you've talked about linking this bridge between women struggling in the past. And it's like, you said, we're the agent of change. And I loved that. And we have this, we, luckily in the times that we live in, we can change things, and we have the power to change things, and we have the capabilities. And I think that's one of the things, rather than just sitting back and it's like, this is the way I am, this is the way I was raised, you know, maybe it's not the best way, but it's like, no, I have the power to change my beliefs, and I have the power to help other women and change the energy as a whole.
Yeah, yeah, wow. It feels so big, right? It's bigger than us. The transformation of lifetimes, that's what I love to say,
Yeah.
because it is, because now none of our ancestors actually have done this work, and we are the ones who carry all this burden, and suddenly we start to work through it and release it, and it's like, wow. It is huge for all of us. Yeah. What I would like to ask is, how does it feel to be in your feminine power, to know that you have choice and you can find your own truth and live from that place? And also I would like to use this metaphor that you created the image of your powerful self as a woman in red dress. Like I love that metaphor,
Yeah.
and that very vivid expression of the feminine.
Yeah, I got that from, I wish I could come across this picture again. It was a picture, I don't know if it was in a magazine or online, but it was a picture of this woman with long dark hair and this red dress. And I just looking at her, I'm like, I want to be her. She looks like she knows what she wants, who she is, where she's going. You know, I want to be her. And so that's where that came from. And whenever I use it over and over and over, at the woman in the red dress, she oh shoot, I just my head just went blank. um yeah, it's I think something that I had a hard time grasping when I started with you was the masculine feminine. It was like, to me that was more like gender. I just masculine men, feminine women. I didn't quite get, like, you had, I still have the sheet, you had the sheet of criteria, or not criteria, characteristics of like, these are masculine characteristics, these are feminine characteristics. And I was like masculine all the way. And like little bits of feminine, but you know, you had talked about, it's like, it's such a masculine world now, and we're just so goal driven and succeed and produce. And I had such a hard time of letting go of that part of me, of like, every little minute of the day needs to be productive. Even rest needs to be productive. I need to be getting something out of it. And you know, we talked about handling situations, going into like a room of masculine people, and it can be women, and coming with a softer side, like a feminine side, not a softer side, but a feminine side. And that was another one that I think from society, I just pictured like the softer side, like what I just said. And it's not that at all. It's a woman who knows what she needs to say and to get the job done. And it's a woman who knows what she wants in her love life and her home life. uh, so that one was really hard for me to grasp and to integrate into my life because it's a masculine world. Um, but that's where I think the woman in the red dress helped me because I'm visual. That's what helped me finally get it. Because yeah, it's not like a tangible thing. It's not, this feminine power is not a tangible thing. Um, so that's what's helped me, this woman in the red dress. And I picture her when I'm getting into old patterns, like I'm avoiding conflict because I don't want to stand up for myself. I'm scared, or I'm being resistant to something because it makes me uncomfortable, or I'm like, I just don't want to, I really don't have any other better reason. I just don't want to. Um, I channel her a lot now because yeah, she's the woman. I feel like there's my child self. She is my ideal self. Whenever I'm struggling with anything, I channel her.
Yeah, yeah. Like it's in finding her internally and knowing that's your true self that,
Yeah.
needs to come to power and making decisions from play, allowing her to make decisions or receive decisions or
Yeah.
navigate life and, feel
Yeah.
into truth and, act on your truth as well.
Um,
Yeah.
and that I've had for years. I've had this nervous knot in my stomach and struggled with it. I've gone to doctors. It's like, try this, try that, try medicine, try food, try yoga, try whatever. I couldn't get rid of it. And it's always been, I've had this feeling of like, I'm running out of time for whatever. I'm running out of time to accomplish these things or to find my life partner. I'm running out of time, but I don't know how to get there. And through the work that we've done and recognizing this energy, it's her and she needs something. And so now I'm not scared of that energy anymore because when I feel it, that feeling, I ask her what she needs. And it might be rest, or it might be fun. It might be, I need to release some anger, and it's okay to do that because I feel it. And it's just like, that's empowering in itself because I'm not scared of this feeling inside my body. Like it means something, it's telling me something, and it's her.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, this is so powerful. And I would like now to jump into that space we shared during our private retreat when we were in this deep space, like we just dropped there together. And can you share what clicked inside of you and how, what was the experience and how did she show up, this woman, this your true self in woman in the red dress? Like, what was the experience there?
Yeah, that was so cool because um I was so nervous about going to this private retreat with you because it's like, what if I don't feel anything? What if I'm like your person that doesn't have this profound experience? I'm
You're
like,
being afraid of your previous kind of
yeah,
situation when we met the first met. Yeah.
and there were some challenges leading up to it where I was a little bit like, I could back out. This is my chance. Here's my door to like, but it's like, no, you do this. And yeah, we just casually one morning in a discussion, you were like, where do you feel this resistance in your body? And we dropped into this practice. And I had the most amazing experience. That was like my aha moment. And so right before that, you had sent an email, just kind of a loose agenda of things that we might do. And in one of the questions, one of the topics was asking what's real. And I went over that and it's like, we've never gone over that. What does she mean by what's real? What is that? And maybe I'll find out. And you had been explaining to me, like, I don't, why you asked that question, what's real? And it's like, oh yeah, that's cool. Yeah, okay. And then during this session, it clicked with me. That clicked with me. The woman in the red dress clicked with me. Like so many things. And I was having this resistance about something we were working on, and one of the things that I struggle with is judgment. That's part of my resistance, is being the fear of being judged, which is so common. But during this session, I could see it, my right. I could see it right there. And it was like a block, like a cube. And it hit me that I was like, you are not real. Judgment, you are not real. And I'm like, you're just going to go over there. And then humiliation came in. I'm like, you're not real either. You go over there. And I had this epiphany of like, those are not real. I'm real. What I'm feeling is real. And so that was like my aha moment with that question that you asked. And the containers, and it's like, I'm the container and they are not in my container, and I can let them in when I want to, and I can push them out when I don't want to, as for any feeling and emotion. And then the thing that when we went even deeper with this, I think, you know, as I started, I remember when I realized that when I pushed the judgment away, I felt my abdomen move. It was the weirdest thing. I even had like my hand on my belly, and I could feel it moving. And I was twitching and I was shaking, and all of a sudden I felt this energy in my spine, just like, whew. And it was her. It was the woman in the red dress here, like commanding her ship in her container. And I felt so strong, and like, there she is. And
Wow.
yeah, I can feel the energy coming back to me right now. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, there is a science behind it, like what they work with the Kundalini energy. That's the
oh,
energy that awakens and the foundation of our spine, right? And it's like
yeah.
activating,
Oh, totally.
and it shows up. That's how it needs to click with your own body, in your
Yeah.
own psyche, so you can like feel it from inside out and express it.
Yeah.
And whatever it represents for you, it's like a woman in a red dress, and she's you, right?
Yeah, and I think that was like the bridge there. And you know, one of the sessions before this trip, we had talked about bridging the child and the ideal, you know, the child and the parent, and bridging her with my child self. And that was it. And it's like, she's not this ideal self that lives out of my head. Like, she's inside me, and I know exactly.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, beautiful. Yeah, I feel chills even now. So I also wanted to ask you about we discovered a few things that were pretty new and innovative, like relationship containers that, you know, so many women feel they don't fit into this traditional, you know, classical marriage container that is universal for everyone and not customized. And there are so many shoulds and so many assumptions that we sign up for it and then we're afraid. Well, you know, it's equivalent of how we should do the relationship, and what we should feel, what should our partner do for us. And we've been exploring these relation containers with you. Can you share a little bit more about what you discovered in terms of like that you're allowed to have different relationship in different containers, and it's up to you what you want to choose and how you want to create it?
Yeah, I love this topic. And we had like a real connection over something that I had mentioned about a current relationship with a friend, um, where one of the problems that I had before I started working with you is that I just wanted to be in a relationship. And it's like, a little bit of it was that like I didn't like being alone, but it was like I want a partner, I want someone to experience things with, and I just really want to be in a relationship. And you know, I've done this, I have a career, I have a house, I have all these things. Now I need a relationship because that's what you do. And I was getting into the worst relationships and having horrible experiences and tolerating behavior that I should not have tolerated. And just because that's what I wanted. It's like, well, at least he's with me, and it's, you know. And so I think I would like to get married. That would be cool. But it's not a deal breaker if I never do. It's okay. And I think working with you, like hearing that it's like, it's okay if this is the relationship that you want and it works for you and your partner, it's like, wait, that's okay. Really? Because everyone around me gets married and they have these kids or they have dogs, and that's what I should be doing. And so that was just another one. Like, I've found working with you, so many things, it's like I hear it and then I hear it again, and then you hear it again a few more times, and you're like, I get it. That's what you mean. I get it. And one of the conversations you and I had was about, there's sexual relationships, friendship, there's the relationships, like emotional, you have these different relationships that fulfill things that you need. And so many times I think we depend on one person to fulfill that for us. And I had brought up with you that this person that it didn't work out with, we're still best friends.
Mm-hmm.
And we are closer than we were when we were together as partners. And because we've taken like the sexual part out of it, we trust each other. We can say things with more honesty because we're not afraid of ruining a relationship, because it's like, no, we're friends. um and you and I talked about that, because it's like, yeah, there is this element where the sexual part of a relationship kind of inhibits certain layers of intimacy. There's, I mean, there's
Mm-hmm.
sexual intimacy, but there's also these things that you don't want to approach because you might ruin your relationship. And so, I mean, that has just like reinforced that this relationship that I have with this person is so right for what we need.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all it's ever going to be, and it's fine. And then it's made me really think about what I want in my relationship container going forward. Um, because again, another thing that I, a light bulb is desires, and putting your desires out into the universe. And, you put it out there, it gives it back to you. And I struggled with this so much. Like, what do you want? Your desires. And it hit me one day. I'm like, I know what I don't want. And I put out there, I know exactly what I don't want. And so it's like I have to flip that. What do I want? And then so I've been applying that to other areas of my life, and now it's in this container. It's like, do I want a partner? Do I want someone that lives here with me? Do I want to live with someone else? Do I want us to have separate places? Do we want to get married? I The world is open to me. It's my decision.
Mm-hmm.
And it's such a cool, like, freeing feeling, because I'm not locked into this, like, well, it's what I'm supposed to be doing. So if I do
Yeah.
that, then I guess I've made it in life.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
feel like I'm when I went into working with you, and the relationship, it was partway through working with you, it fell apart, and it was meant to. It wasn't right. But I still, it's like, well, let's keep working together so I can find another one. And then it's like a few months in, it's like, I'm happy. I'm so happy where I'm at right now, and this is the container I need right now.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so liberating, right? That you
Yeah,
can tap into your own like deep and real desires, that
yeah,
rather than chasing of something that is offered and being
yeah,
advertised on the market. Like this is what usually people want. So pick
yeah.
one of this. Is like none of this are mine.
Yeah. And you even talked about, like, because I'm so literal, I think of a container like this is the container. And you talked so much about, like, you reshape your container. It's like, this isn't the container that you're in forever just because this is what you've created. It's like, all right, this is what I'm happy with right now, but I have this other container that I'm building that I want to move into. And you can change them, they can be reshaped and reformed. It really is freeing to feel that.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I have a one question about, so we also worked on like pleasure and like we did some really cool practices like going to grocery store and really tapping into this pleasure in your body and enjoying and activating senses, and also discovering that, because we're different women with different archetypes, different personalities, we're wired differently. So our sensual self and sexual self also works differently. For some women it can be more intense and like being in the pelvis and this Asian feminine very, and for some women it can be more like a ballerina dance or like some more mystical expression of sexuality and intimacy and sensuality. So what kind of insights you had in this area for yourself, also like stepping out of the shoes?
Yeah. Yeah. And that was another, like, just foreign idea to me, like awakening the senses. And that was a weekly practice for me. It was a homework assignment all the time. And um, I struggled with that a lot because I initially, it was like when you said, pleasure, and immediately it's like pleasure, like, ah, we don't talk about that. You're like, no, like get some good food, music, light a candle. Oh my gosh, like I didn't even realize there's these other senses. It's like, you've talked about you have the five senses, but then there's also sexuality is
Mm-hmm.
another sense. And so yeah, you gave me so many different exercises, and I find myself today like I look at things, I make decisions based on, is it going to awaken my senses, and is it going to bring me pleasure? Is that cup going to bring me pleasure? Like I purposely choose what cup I drink out of in the morning
Mm-hmm.
because it just makes me feel good. And
Yeah.
it's not functional. It's like, no, I want it to be pretty too. And
Mm.
I yeah, I try to integrate so many things. At work I have essential oils, just breathing in essential oils, and soft blankets. And when I started with you, I did this kind of inventory of myself and my living space, and it was like, it functions, it works, but it's not like soft and feminine. And
Mm.
that was one of my goals, was I want to bring in softer textiles, colors. um, and I have done that. I've brought in, like, just I've been painting and bringing in accessories that just make it pretty, and they just make me feel good,
Mm.
and it smells good, and it's nice to look at. And yeah, like the grocery pleasure, like just daily mundane things that we do. It's like, how can you make it enjoyable? And I've found, because I hate grocery shopping, and it's like, no, when you go to the grocery store, it's like, I love this, and it's like, oh, look at this product, it's so neat. I know, it's just you have fun with it. um and so I think that's been, it was hard for me to embrace, but I love it now. Like, it
Mm.
definitely, it's part of my daily life now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so beautiful. Yeah. And also how it translates into our relationship with men. Like we can allow ourselves to act in a way that feels good for us and
Yeah.
choose our pace, not following the masculine, pathways of how
Yeah.
things,
True.
let's jump and have sex right away. It's like,
Yeah.
no,
And like,
it's us who decide and say, hey, no, and we're the leaders in this area, right?
yeah, like one of the things that I don't know, like, so much of this stuff, who can teach us this stuff? Thank goodness for you. um One of the things was like, you need to know what you enjoy so you can communicate it to your partner. And it's like, one of the practices was touching, just touching myself, touching my arms, and what kind of touch do you enjoy? And when we were at our retreat, I experienced, I thought before that, because I would be like, I'm doing the practice and I like to be touched, I wasn't really committing to it. And then when I did it with you, and I think that was one of the benefits of being there with you, is I
Mm-hmm.
was so committed to what I was doing. It wasn't just like, well, this is my homework, I'm doing it.
Mm-hmm.
um, I learned exactly what kind of touch I like, and why I like it, and what I crave, and how it makes me feel, and how to ask for it. And um, I think that's a huge part of the homework that you would give me, is like, practice these things so that when the time comes, you know what to say and how to say it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember that experience was really, really great, profound
Yeah,
experience. It was beautiful to share it with you.
yeah,
So the last question I have, there are so many women who are like constantly in this rat race, or they're, even if they're successful, they're still focusing on their career and feeling that they need to achieve another goal and another goal, and then good things will happen for them. Then they will enjoy, and it's like postponing this like deep presence with themselves and like living this now, receiving what they desire, and now start receiving what they desire now. So my question would be is like, and the same also like postponing working
mhm,
uh, on themselves with the mentor, with the with the guide. Now I call myself relationship artist because we create art together, right? So what would you recommend women who are still on the fence, never find time for themselves, or saying like maybe later, or feel it's too much to invest in themselves, and kind of like still not taking action?
Mm. This is the best investment I have ever made in myself, in just in life, in myself, because it's going with me. Like, this is part of me, and I'm taking it with me. Like, it truly is an investment. And I mean, years ago, before I started working with you, I was struggling, and someone suggested therapy, and it's like I was in a really dark place, and struggling, and I just started it, and it helped me so much. And I remember at the time, it's like, that was the best decision I ever made for myself, was getting with a therapist.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I can remember, like, I can see it so clearly, the day that I was looking at your website, I came across your website, and it was like, oh, that's too expensive, I can't afford it. And then 2 years later, I'm like, Lana, I'm getting with her right now. Like, and I wish, there's parts of me that I wish I had done it those 2 years earlier, but at the same time, it's like I went through so many struggles that made me commit to this work that much more, take it
Mm-hmm.
that much more seriously. I had life experience to apply it to. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think that the timeline that I did it in worked for me really well.
Mm-hmm.
And I do not regret a single bit of it. And
Mm-hmm.
I think if you're on the fence, I think you need to do it for your reasons, but it is, I wish that work like this was more accessible and more, just, I wish it was easier for us to access for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Communication with each other, with family. Like, I think my
Mm-hmm.
communication with my family has improved so much, uh, through boundaries and recognizing triggers and goals that I have for my relationship with my family, with my friends, my coworkers, with sexual partners, romantic partners. Um, I don't regret it a bit. And I think if you're on the fence, um, I understand the financial part of it, because that is huge. But I think once you realize the long term benefits of it, and give it time, definitely it's not an overnight. It's not like, oh, I worked with you and now I'm better. It is a daily practice, daily work, and pain, and ups and downs. I have to do it on my own. Checking in with you, like, it's not easy, and it's not an overnight change, but it is so worth it.
Mm. Yeah, I love how realistic you're sharing is, because it's like
Don't
the
change it.
truth. Yeah, it's not like, oh, overnight
Yeah,
success, or it's
not
not
at all.
like
Not
an
at
easy
all.
fix, right? Some people
Yeah,
like, it's not a pill you take like antidepressants or whatever. It's a real work, and it's investment, not just financial, but it's also investment, your time and your
yeah,
energy and your commitment, energetic commitment to selves. Like, no, I'm done with this past. I'm moving forward,
yeah,
like giving it 100%.
yeah. And like,
Definitely.
I think, like, the overnight thing, it's like, you would tell me, like I said earlier, you would say things to me that it's like, I don't get it. And I could have easily been like, this just isn't working for me.
Mm-hmm.
This just doesn't work for me. But I didn't. I stuck it through, and you kept repeating it. Thanks you for repeating it over and over and over. And then one day it does click. And
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, it's, I value your time and the information that you share with me. And that, I think that's what helps me to invest in this, is like, you know what you're talking about, and
Mm.
I trust you.
Yeah, yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, so it's even it's like 1 year and a half, but in the scale of a lifetime, or even lifetimes, as we talked about generational healing, right? What is shifting right now, the work we're doing right now is like, it's nothing. Like 1 year and a half, like, right?
Yeah,
It's so worth to do it, and like it's so
yeah.
worth to like
Mhm.
pull yourself together for this particular, like, okay, this is what I do. That's the most important thing, because it's me.
Yeah,
It's who I am.
it is.
Yeah.
And like, one of the things that you talk about when we first start is, like, give, prepare your space, And especially because I kind of developed into your tantric um, workshop or tantric modules, and one of the preparation packets, it was like, commit to this for 6 months. That's all you have to do. Like, it's not all you have to do, but it's like, this isn't an overnight thing, but it's also not like, oh, this is like a lifelong process. It's like, commit to this for 6 months. And when you think of it on that scale, it's like, I can do anything for 6 months.
Yeah.
Do this. Yeah. And you really scratch the surface. And I've found, we'll talk about something and I'll get curious and I'll go Google it, and I'll go down a rabbit hole of like, oh my gosh, you just learn so much, and it opens doors into things that you didn't know you needed to know.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow, that was such an amazing conversation, and I'm so happy that you showed up and shared this with the women, because it's very different when somebody shares their own journey, their own experience. It is like, it is real. You can see how Kathryn is real, and she doesn't make this, like a magical fairy tale. Yeah, so it is real. There is work. There is, effort and like commitment and so much into this, but what is waiting us on the other side is our true selves and our power, and what is possible, basically questioning what is possible. I like to say, question the obvious to discover the miraculous.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Kathryn. I really appreciate you showing up and sharing. Thank you.
Thank you for everything. It's amazing.